We all have moments we wish we could rewrite. A word said, a choice made, a silence kept. The echo of what if lingers, a shadow that follows us, reminding us of who we wish we'd been. But the past is locked. All we can do is live with the echo. The weight of yesterday can feel unbearable. It's like carrying a heavy stone in your pocket, a constant reminder of regret. You smile, you function, but inside you're running a marathon of self-condemnation. This burden shapes your future, whispering that your best days are behind you. You feel lost, unsure if you'll ever find your way back. There is a door in your heart behind which lies your past. You try to keep it locked, but the memories and pain remain. The past is fixed, written in stone. Yet standing before that locked door in helplessness is where your true story can finally begin. Living with regret is like a movie projector stuck in your mind, replaying the same scene on a loop. A smell, a song, or a quiet moment presses play. You relive the guilt, the shame, the sorrow, fresh and raw. The world blurs, but the memory stays sharp, haunting you, making peace feel impossible. Regret isn't just a memory, it becomes a heavy cloak, shaping how you see yourself now. You start to believe you're broken, unworthy of love or forgiveness, and even God feels distant. The weight of what you've become leaves you feeling alone, separated from hope and crushed by shame. Regret isn't just about the past. It steals your future, clouding every hope with yesterday's mistakes. It drains your ambition, making you settle for less, not because you lack ability, but because you stop believing in yourself. The future becomes a threat, not a promise. As regret convinces you your story is over, you're left wandering, defined by what went wrong, wondering if you'll ever build anything meaningful again. Regret makes you build walls, first to protect, then to isolate. You keep people at a distance, thinking it's safer, but soon loneliness replaces pain. Suspicion grows, trust fades, and you see the world through a narrow window of fear. The hardest wall is around your own heart, locking out forgiveness and hope. In the end, you're your own jailer, holding the key but forgetting how to use it. In the shadow of betrayal, Peter's loyalty blazed. He swore he'd never abandon Jesus. He'd left everything to follow, certain he'd stand firm when others fell. But Jesus, with sorrow, foretold Peter's denial before dawn. Peter's confidence soared, blind to the coming test. He had no idea his greatest failure was just ahead, hidden in the night. In Gethsemane, Peter's loyalty faltered. He couldn't stay awake as Jesus suffered. When the mob arrived, fear surged. Peter lashed out with a sword, desperate to prove himself, but his violence only revealed his confusion and terror. Jesus stopped him, healing the wounded, showing Peter his misunderstanding. The hero Peter wanted to be was slipping away, replaced by fear and doubt. After Jesus' arrest, Peter followed from a distance, torn between love and fear. By the fire, a servant girl's question shattered his resolve. In panic, Peter denied knowing Jesus, his promise dissolving into a lie. It was a small denial, but the first step into darkness. The loyal heart faltered, and regret began its work. Peter couldn't stay by the fire. The servant girl's question had made the space too hot. too dangerous. He needed to escape the scrutiny, to find a darker corner where he could disappear again. So, he moved away toward the gateway of the courtyard, hoping to slip back into the shadows. He was trying to manage his fear, to recalibrate, to find a way to stay and watch without being seen. But, regret and fear have a way of making you conspicuous. His panicked energy, his shifting eyes, his desire to be invisible, all of it probably made him stand out more. He was a man trying desperately to pretend he wasn't there, which only drew more attention to his presence. He didn't get far. Another servant girl saw him. Maybe she had overheard the first exchange, or maybe it was just his nervous demeanor that caught her eye. She pointed him out to the people standing nearby. "This fellow was with Jesus of Nazareth," she announced. Her voice was probably louder, more certain than the first. The accusation was no longer a quiet observation. It was a public declaration. The circle of suspicion was tightening around him. He was no longer just a person of interest to one girl, but a spectacle for a small crowd. The escape he had sought was now impossible. He was trapped in the cold light of the courtyard. The pressure mounted. What could he do? His mind was racing, scrambling for a way out. His promise to Jesus must have felt like a distant, foolish memory from another lifetime. All that mattered now was survival. The fear was a physical thing, a cold dread that gripped his insides and squeezed the truth right out of him. He had to make his denial more emphatic this time, more convincing. He couldn't just brush it off. He had to perform his non-association. He had to prove to them, and maybe even to himself, that he was not one of them, not one of Jesus's followers. And so, the second denial came, stronger and more forceful than the first. He denied it with an oath, the scriptures tell us. "I don't know the man," an oath. He called upon God to witness a lie about not knowing the Son of God. The irony is staggering and heartbreaking. In his attempt to save his own skin, he was committing a profound spiritual betrayal. He was using God's name to distance himself from God's chosen one. Each denial was taking him further away from the man he claimed to be, the loyal disciple, and dragging him deeper into the identity of a coward and a liar, all under the watchful, unforgiving light of the courtyard fire. An hour passed. For Peter it was an eternity of torment, fear, suspicion, and denial closing in. Then as dawn broke, a rooster crowed, the sound Jesus had predicted. Jesus turned and looked at Peter. In that gaze, Peter's world shattered. The rooster's crow shattered Peter, reminding him of Jesus' words, "Before the rooster crows, you will disown me 3 times." Overcome by shame and regret, Peter wept bitterly, believing he had failed in the most public and personal way possible. He was a broken man, defined by his failure, seeing no way back. After the crucifixion, and even after the bewildering news of the resurrection, Peter was adrift. The world had been turned upside down, but his own inner world was still shattered. He didn't know what to do with himself. The man he had followed was gone, then alive again, but the shame of his denial still clung to him like a shroud. So, he did the only thing he could think of. "I'm going out to fish," he told the other disciples. It was a retreat, a return to the familiar identity of Simon the fisherman. It was easier to be a fisherman than to be Peter, the failed disciple, the rock who had crumbled. The others went with him, and they pushed the boat out onto the Sea of Galilee, the very waters where Jesus had first called them. All night they fished, casting their nets into the deep, familiar darkness, but they caught nothing. The emptiness of their nets was a perfect reflection of the emptiness in their hearts. The night was long, fruitless, and filled with a heavy silence. You can imagine Peter, his hands raw from the ropes, his mind a turbulent sea of regret. He was trying to go back to his old life, but even that seemed to be failing him now. The night yielded nothing, just like his own promises. As the first light of dawn began to paint the sky, a figure stood on the shore. A man's voice called out across the water, "Friends, haven't you any fish?" They answered with a simple, dejected no. The man on the shore then gave them a strange instruction: "Throw your net on the right side of the boat, and you will find some." They were tired, frustrated, and had been working all night for nothing. But something about the man's voice compelled them to obey. They cast the net one more time, and suddenly it was so full of fish they couldn't even haul it into the boat. In that moment of miraculous abundance, a spark of recognition ignited in the heart of John, the disciple whom Jesus loved. He turned to Peter, his eyes wide with wonder. "It is the Lord," he said. As soon as the words left John's mouth, everything changed for Peter. He didn't wait. He didn't hesitate. He didn't think about his unworthiness or his shame. He wrapped his outer garment around himself, and without a second thought, he jumped out of the boat and into the cold water. He swam for the shore, for the man who was waiting there. His failure was still real, but his love for Jesus was stronger. He had to get to him. Peter stumbled onto the beach at sunrise and saw Jesus by a charcoal fire, the same kind of fire where Peter had denied him. But this time, Jesus offered restoration, not shame. In the quiet morning, Jesus asked, "Simon, do you love me?" With each answer, Peter's failure was rewritten with love and purpose. The grace of Jesus turned Peter's pain into a new beginning. Peter's failure wasn't the end. Jesus restored him, giving him a new purpose: feed my sheep. Through brokenness, Peter became a compassionate leader. Our greatest failures can become the foundation for a powerful future where grace does its most beautiful work. We all know the weight of regret, the bitter taste of shame, and the silence after a mistake. But Peter's story shows our worst failure is not the end. God sees not a reason for disqualification, but a starting point for grace. This is the heart of the gospel: grace for the broken, hope for a new beginning. So many of us live as if our life is a book and our biggest regret is the last page. We just keep reading that final, painful page over and over again. We memorize the words of our failure, we study the grammar of our guilt, and we refuse to believe that there could be anything else written after it. We are stuck. We think the author has put down the pen. We feel that the ink has dried on our shame and that the story is finished. This feeling of finality is one of the heaviest burdens that regret forces us to carry. It steals our hope for tomorrow because we are so utterly convinced that our story has already concluded with yesterday's tragedy. But God is a God of unfinished stories. He is always inviting us to turn the page. The story of Peter did not end with bitter weeping in the darkness outside the courtyard. That was a chapter, a painful and pivotal one, but it was not the end. The story continued. There was a shoreline chapter. There was a charcoal fire of restoration. There was a chapter where Peter, filled with the Holy Spirit, stood up and preached with a boldness he never had in his own strength. There were many more chapters to come. The author was not finished with him, and he is not finished with you either. Turning the page does not mean pretending the previous chapter didn't happen. Grace does not erase the past, it redeems it. It takes the broken pieces of our failures and uses them to build the foundation for a new story. The memory of the failure remains, but its power to define you is broken. Just as Peter's memory of his denial would have made him a more compassionate shepherd, your experience of failure can equip you with a unique empathy for others who are hurting. Your brokenness can become a bridge of connection to a world full of broken people who need to know they are not alone. The choice to turn the page is an act of faith. It is the decision to believe that God's grace is bigger than your mistake. It is trusting that what Jesus did on the cross is more powerful than what you did in your moment of weakness. It means looking up from the page of your regret and looking toward the author of your faith, who is holding the pen and is ready to write a new chapter. It is a choice to believe that your future is not dictated by your past, but is held securely in the hands of a God who specializes in new beginnings. Your story isn't over. A clean page is waiting. Your real story begins not when you fix your past, but when you surrender it. Your failure isn't a dead end, it's a doorway. God can use every broken part to bring hope and healing. This is the unfinished story of grace, and there's a chapter with your name on it. I want to speak to the real you, the one who lies awake at night, burdened by regret, feeling alone and defined by your worst moment. But you're not alone. Countless others carry secret burdens of shame. Your story connects you to the rest of us. God already knows your story, every regret, every hidden fear, yet He loves you, the real you, right now, in the middle of your mess. His arms are open in invitation, not judgment. His grace is a gift freely offered, waiting for you to receive it. For a long time you may have been living in the night of your regret, but just as it did for Peter, a new morning is dawning for you. Jesus stands on the shoreline, calling your name with gentle invitation. Let go of the burden you were never meant to carry. He already bore it on the cross, your failures, your shame, your regrets. Step out of the shadows and into the bright, hopeful morning of His unending grace. If you've been weighed down by regret, this is your invitation. Step from the cold water of shame onto the warm shore of grace. Walk toward the fire Jesus has prepared, not for judgment, but for restoration. Believe your future is defined by His forgiveness, not your failures. Take the first step. Your story of redemption begins now. The journey forward is a walk of faith, one step at a time. Your past is no longer your prison. Your debt has been paid in full. Now you can stand as a new creation, extending grace to others. God will redeem your future, building beauty from brokenness. Walk forward in hope. Your new life has begun because grace still speaks.